For the love of Imam Hussein, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Just as a quick housekeeping item before we get started, if we can ask everyone to move forward, some of the crowd will be arriving late, and we just want everyone to be able to find a seat without disrupting the rest of the community while the lecture is happening. So for those in the back rows, if you don't mind moving forward a little bit so we can create some space, that would be very much appreciated. Or slide over for the brothers. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to start by thanking each of you for being here tonight to take part in the commemoration of the tragedy of Imam Hussein and his followers. As a reminder, Muharram sponsorships are $250 per night, and anyone who is interested may either put your name on the list on the wall. Nope. They may go see Hajj Hassan directly, and we will make sure that we find the right date for you during these first 10 nights of Muharram. If we could, for the family of the marhumin, and that we all share, as well as those who have sponsored tonight's program, if we could all recite Surah Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Mecca continues to grow and expand, and it seems like yesterday we were inside a rented space off of Lily Road, if I remember right. And then we found this space. And looking at the building today, the footprint today, from where we started, it's absolutely amazing to see the transformation that has happened inside these walls. We've taken over the space that the brothers are now sitting on. We've taken over the space next to it. We've expanded the Salah room. The growth of this community, it's truly amazing to watch. But as we grow, so do our needs. Mecca has began securing the land on Ridge Road. And as we march towards this goal and this dream of having a community center for each of us to help have a place for our families to call home, a place to put our heads down and pray, and a place that we can all be together and raise our families together. It cannot be done without your generous support. So I'd ask you all during this time, during the 10 days of Muharram, during Ashura, that please consider making a donation for the land. If you're not able to make a donation for the land, consider doing a smaller donation. If you'd like, there's a monthly option as well. And any questions that you may have, you're more than welcome to speak with Hajj Hassan for more information. A few upcoming events as a quick reminder. Saturday, July 29th, the Mecca Youth will be holding a poetry slam. And on August 5th, we will have our second annual cemetery cleanup in Plymouth. So inshallah, if you have not yet seen the flyers for those, they'll be circulated shortly. And as always, we have the WhatsApp group to stay in touch with the announcements that are happening. Finally, if anyone is interested in reciting any poetry or lutmiya during these 10 days in any language, you're more than welcome to see Hajj Haider Hamoud to sign up. Hajj Haider, could you raise your hand so everyone knows? Perfect. And finally, as a reminder, to begin the English part of the program, each night we will be having a skit performed by the Mecca youth as a reenactment of Muharram. So without any further delay, I'd like to welcome the Mecca youth with a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
It was the second of Muharram, the year 61 after Hijrah. Imam Hussein was heading to Kufa to answer the call of those asking for his help to revive the religion of Islam. On his way, he was intercepted by the army of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, and they forced him to take a different route. Imam Hussein and his caravan were en route when suddenly the horse of Imam Hussein stopped. The Imam asked his companions, "What is the name of this land?" One man replied, telling him it is known as Al-Ghadariyat. He asked if there was another name. They told him Nainawa. He asked again, and they told him Shati al-Furat, until one man told him that the land was also called Karbala. Upon hearing the name Karbala, Imam Hussein let out a deep sigh and made a dua asking Allah to grant him refuge from all karb and bala, all trials and tribulations. Then he called out to his family and companions, telling them to get down and that this is the land where they will set up their camp. This land is where their men would be killed, their children be slain, and their women be taken as captives. The caravan quietly came down and began to settle. It was a somber night. They were committed to protecting Islam and supporting their Imam, even if it meant that they would face death. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة، ويا باب نجاة الأمة. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة، وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن، إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. For the love of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. There's no question that the influence of Islam and Muslims has greatly increased in this country. While Muslims still make up less than 2% of the population, today we see there are over 3,000 mosques in the United States of America. Today we see Muslims have made it to positions of power. We have elected officials at the local level, at the state level, at the national level, and Muslims are growing in influence. Muslims are a part of this society and a part of this community. However, despite all of the advances, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Today, Muslims remain to be targets of politicians that want to score some points. Today, Muslims are still accused of terror. Muslims, there's a lot of misconceptions about Islam and Muslims. Today, a lot of people think that Islam is only in the Middle East, and they associate Islam with the Middle East, ignoring the fact that the majority of the Muslims are not even from the Middle East. The majority of the Muslims do not even speak Arabic. But there's this wrong misconception that is out there. And this, my dear brothers and sisters, leaves us with a responsibility, with a duty. We have a moral and ethical responsibility to inform people about the religion of Islam. We are not only responsible of practicing and implementing the teachings of Islam in this country. Yes, this is a duty, this is a responsibility upon every single one of us. But in addition to practicing our faith and holding on to our identity, today we have a responsibility of informing others about the religion of Islam, of doing da'wah, of inviting others to the religion of Islam. And this is a sacred cause. This is a sacred act. Why are we gathering to commemorate and remember Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Because Imam Hussein had a message, he had a mission. He wanted to inform the whole world that the Islam that he is practicing is not the Islam of Yazid and not the Islam of Bani Umayyah. Today many of us were silent. Today many of us, we do not speak out. We have a religious obligation not only to practice, but to inform others, to call others, to invite others to this beautiful religion that we have. And of course, this is a very rewarding act. Very rewarding in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi tells Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib in several occasions. He tells him, Ya Ali, لَإِن يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا وَاحِدٍ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِمَّا طَلَعَتْ عَلَيْهِ الشَّمْسِ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides through you one person, the reward that you will receive is greater than anything that receives the light of the sun. Meaning the reward is greater than this whole dunya, this whole life and this whole world and universe and all that it has. So we have a duty, we have an obligation, and we have to tell people about the religion of Islam. And my dear brothers and sisters, some people, they come and they say, but I haven't gone to the hawza, I'm not a sheikh, I'm not a sayyid, to come and tell people about the religion of Islam. You don't need to. Islam in itself, in its essence, is a religion that gravitates everything and everyone to it. Islam is a universal religion. Islam is not some cult, not some religion that is isolated and secluded to one group of people in one geographical location or one language. Today, if you're Arab, you could be a Muslim. If you're white American, you could be Muslim. If you're Chinese, you could be Muslim, just as good as every other Muslim. There's nothing in the Quran comes and says that you have to be from the Middle East, you have to be from this particular part of the world, so that you can become a good Muslim, and Muslims from this country are better than Muslims from this country. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly states in the Quran, إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَى وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. The closest in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has the most taqwa, the most God consciousness. It doesn't matter what your skin color, what your language, where you come from. Look at Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The camp of Imam Hussein had a wide variety of people, different people. And this is precisely what makes Islam a very attracting religion. This is what makes Islam the fastest growing religion in the world, because Islam is a universal religion. Allah says in the Quran, تَبَارَكَ الَّذِي نَزَّلَ الْفُرْقَانَ عَلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ لِيَكُونَ لِلْعَالَمِينَ نَذِيرًا. The Quran is for the alameen. The Quran is for everyone. The Quran is not for one group of people. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa is for everyone. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. But today, my dear brothers and sisters, many of us, we have done injustice to Islam. We have done injustice to Rasulullah. And we have done injustice to the Quran and to Imam Hussein. How? By secluding Islam within these four walls. By secluding the religion of Islam and the Quran and Imam Hussein and Rasulullah within these four walls. Many of us, I'll practice Islam 100%. I'll read the whole Quran in the masjid. But outside the masjid, I'm someone else. Some of us, there's many who are Muslim. They have this dual personality, dual identity. In the mosque, I'm Muslim. But the moment I leave, then I'm not proud of my faith anymore. Then I'm not proud to stand and pray. I'm not proud to practice my hijab, my prayer, my fasting, whatever it is. No. We have to hold on to our identity. We have to hold on to our religious practices, our religious teachings, wherever that may be. And by only confining it to the masjid and to the place of worship, then we are doing an injustice to the religion of Islam. In fact, today historians, they talk about what is the reason why Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. One of the reasons is because Islam forces you to practice your teachings outside of the mosque, outside of your home. There's an Islamic dress code. There's Islamic rules of eating and food. All of this, it makes you have to force yourself to practice Islam wherever you may be. And that became the reason why Islam is the fastest growing religion. That is the reason why Islam is spreading so fast. But today we see some Muslims, we're ashamed of our religion. We don't identify publicly. We go and we change our names. We are afraid to pray outside. We're afraid to show that we are Muslim and identify with Islam. Why, my dear brothers and sisters? Today, you find deviant groups, especially in this country, where you have the freedom to express yourself. There are deviant groups with deviant mentality, deviant social acts, or groups, lobbyists, groups that are pushing for oppression and corruption and all types of abuse. They're proud. They come out and they're very proud of their identity, very proud of the deviance that they're committing. And we who are holding the truth, we who have the Quran, we who have Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and the religion of Islam, many of us are afraid to practice our teachings, to practice and uphold our religious values. My dear brothers and sisters, we have a duty to inform people of the religion of Islam, to let people know. And sometimes you don't need to go and give a long sermon. You don't need to go and give a lecture. All that you need to do is relay the true Islam to the world. Let the world see what the real Islam is. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, He says in a hadith, he tells his companions, all you have to do is deliver our words to the people. Just tell the people what our words are. فَإِنَّ النَّاسِ لَوْ سَمِعُوا مَحَاسِنَ كَلَامِنَا لَاتَّبَعُونَا. People just need an opportunity. People just need a chance to hear what Rasulullah had to say. People just need an opportunity and a chance to hear what Imam Hussein and Imam Sadiq and Imam Baqir and the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt had to say. And my dear brothers and sisters, while we are gathering in these majalis of Imam Hussein, this is the perfect time to do da'wah. While we are remembering, Imam Hussein alayhi salam gave everything he had for the sake of Islam. Let me ask myself this question. Let every single one of us contemplate for 10 seconds. What have I done for the religion of Islam? What have I offered for the sake of my teachings? I know Imam Hussein gave his whole life. We are crying for Imam Hussein, but what have I done? How do I make a story of 1400 years ago practical and relevant in my life today? If we're just gathering and crying for something that happened 1400 years ago and it's not impacting me today, then what's the point of these tears? What's the point of this crying? If it's not going to change me, then there's no purpose in it. So we need to ask ourselves, and we need to make an oath, and we need to make a decision that we shall be those who propagate and spread the message of Islam and the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the world. And especially now here, we have in this country where most of you, your neighbors are not Muslim. Maybe if you're talking about in predominantly Muslim countries, then over there you say, I don't need to tell my neighbors about Islam because they're already Muslim. But now you have an opportunity. Now you have a responsibility. You have a duty. You need to tell your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends, people you associate with about the religion of Islam. Now, one question someone might ask is, okay, I get it. I must inform people about my religious practices. Just practicing by itself is not enough. I have to tell people. Da'wah. This is very important. Now, how do I tell people about the religion of Islam? What are the steps of inviting others to the religion of Islam? Here, my dear brothers and sisters, the first prerequisite, the first foundation is to know the religion and practice the religion. You have to have ma'rifah. You have to know what the religion is. How am I going to propagate something that I don't have any knowledge of? If I don't know my salah, I don't know Rasulullah, I don't know the Quran, I don't know my religious practices and teachings, how am I going to go and tell other people? This is why we have a duty. We have an obligation. Some of us, 10 nights of the year, we attend all of the lectures. But is that enough? Is that enough to learn about our religion? Is that enough to have ma'rifah, real foundation of our faith? Is that enough so that I could empower myself with the knowledge, with the ammunition to defend the Quran and to defend the religion of Islam? Today, again in Sweden, this guy, he comes and he's desecrating the Quran. Why? A lot of people are doing so because they don't know the truth in the Quran. They don't know the truth about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if people know, then they will not do so. But the problem is we Muslims, we say, I get angry. I don't want anyone to desecrate the Quran or speak bad about the Prophet. But then I don't know how to defend the misconceptions. I don't know how to defend my religion. And this is why, my dear brothers and sisters, we have to empower ourselves with knowledge. This is why we need to attend these majalis. This is why not only the 10 days of Muharram, we need to register in programs, in seminaries, attend every week. Do whatever you can. The same way you have a Netflix subscription, have a subscription to learn about the religion of Islam. It doesn't hurt. The same way there's some things regarding entertainment, we religiously abide by it and watch it, and we have a set program to go to the gym, to do this and to do that. I should make it a part of my life so that I set an hour a day, 2 hours a day to learn about the religion of Islam, to learn about the tafsir of the Quran, to learn about the life of the Prophet. This is something that we have to do. Otherwise, we will become like the army that killed Imam Hussein alayhi salam. They had no foundation. They had no substance. They were easily shaken. They invited Imam Hussein and then money was thrown at them. They got scared a little and they turned against Imam Hussein because there was no substance. There was no foundation. We should not be like those individuals who just call out they are Muslim but there's no foundation. And the only way to build a foundation is to have ma'rifah, and that is through seeking knowledge. Now, once you have the knowledge and you are practicing, what are the next steps? What is something that you have to do next? What must come next? How do I invite people to the religion of Islam? Maybe I'm holding a treasure in my hand, but no one sees it. And this is how some of us are. I'm practicing in my house. I do my salah, my zakat, everything I'm supposed to do. I do it in my house. No one knows about it. There's not much value when you have something that is so valuable, but the whole world cannot see it. If you have something that is of value, you have a diamond, you have some jewelry. This jewelry, this diamond, whatever it is, it does not have value if no one knows you have it. If you bought a nice fancy car, are you going to hide it from people? No, you bought that fancy car so that people could see that you have that car. Now you have the religion of Islam, you have the Quran, and if people don't see it, if people don't know it, then there's no value in it. There's no value in it whatsoever. So you need to go out and tell people about the religion of Islam and about the Quran. How do you do so, my dear brothers and sisters? How are we going to inform people of the Quran and the religion of Islam? Some people, they have the knowledge. This person is like an encyclopedia when you look at them. They have all of the knowledge, but they don't know how to connect with people. They don't know how to relay the message to people. This is key, my dear brothers and sisters. This is the difference between a successful person who propagates the message and a person who's not successful. You might have all of the knowledge, but if you're not able to connect with people, then it's not going to do anything. This is why we need to follow the Quranic formula of propagation. We need to follow the Quranic method of delivering message to people, even if they have a different belief as you, even if they are regarded as your enemies, they don't agree with you. You need to know how to get across the message. And that is how to win the hearts of the people. You need to know how to win hearts. You need to learn how to become a people person. You go and you look at the Quran, all of the prophets, they were all people person. They were people who interacted with people. The prophets, they were interacting with people. Did you ever hear of a prophet living in a cave? No. The prophets, they're always going out. They're interacting, they're communicating, they're dealing with people. They know the problems and the challenges that people are dealing with. And when they speak to people, they speak to the hearts and the minds of the people. And this is how we have to be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the formula in the Quran. Allah says in the Quran, "Id'u ila sabili rabbik." Invite people for the sake of your Lord. How? Bil-hikmah, with wisdom. Wal-maw'adhat al-hasana, and the good admonishment. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. And if anyone is debating with you, debate in the best way possible. What does hikmah mean? Hikmah is different from having knowledge. You might find someone who has a lot of knowledge, but they have no wisdom whatsoever. No wisdom whatsoever. Wisdom is knowing what to say and when to say and how to say. You need to know when. Maybe I have something very important I want to say, but I don't know when to say it. If I said it at the wrong time, it's going to ruin everything. It's going to ruin everything. The whole message is going to be gone. So you need to know how to say, and not everything that is known should be said at all times. There are some people, everything that they know, right away they go and they tell everyone. This causes a problem. This is going to cause a lot of problem. This is not hikmah. Second, وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ. When you are inviting people, when you're talking to people, maybe someone did something wrong. Or someone is not praying correctly. Someone is not fasting correctly. My neighbor is doing something that is unethical. Does it mean that I should always come and yell at this person and scold this person? No. This is not maw'adhat al-hasana. Maw'adhat al-hasana means that you come and when you're guiding someone, when you're showing someone the way, you do it out of compassion, not out of I'm looking down at you. And this is how it must be done. وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. And if anyone is debating with you, if anyone's arguing with you, argue in the best way possible. Some people, right away, they resort to violence. Right away, they resort to cursing and bad words and foul language. Look at the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. No one was able to get them upset. It was very difficult to get them upset. A man, he pays someone money. He tells him, I want you to go and anger Zayn al-Abidin. I want you to go and anger Zayn al-Abidin. He gives him money. He tells him, if you anger him, I will give you money. The man, he goes to Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam and he begins to curse. He begins to use foul language at Imam Zayn al-Abidin. This is Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. He comes and he uses foul language at him. Imam Zayn al-Abidin tells him, if you are right in what you say, then may God forgive me. And if you are wrong in what you say, then may God forgive you. The man began to cry. He said, no, Ya ibn Rasulullah, everything that I said is wrong. Everything that I said, I did it because the man told me he'll give me money if you become angry. Imam Zayn al-Abidin smiles at the man and he tells him, if you needed money, you could have just came to me. You don't need to come and do such a thing. You don't need to come and make yourself look bad to try to anger me. I will give you money. And the Imam orders his companions to give the man money. This is the akhlaq of Imam Zayn al-Abidin. This is the akhlaq of the Ahlul Bayt. He was able to change someone who's an enemy into a friend. And this is the formula of the Quran. وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ ادْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. Repel evil with good. It's going to turn a feeling of animosity into a feeling of love. And then Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍّ عَظِيمٍ. Not everyone is able to have that. You have to have patience and you have to have حَظٌّ عَظِيم, meaning you need to be blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my dear brothers and sisters, we see that a big part of delivering the message of Islam to people, letting people know what Islam is, what the essence of Islam, a lot of it is not coming and talking about theoretical issues and using arguments and all of these debates and all of these things. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he managed to bring the kuffar to the religion of Islam. These people, a lot of them, they were not at the level where Rasulullah could come and use intellectual arguments with them. Rasulullah attracted them through his akhlaq, through his manners, through his etiquette, through his character. And this is the whole reason Rasulullah was sent. إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. Verily, the only reason why I was sent was to increase and enhance the character of people in society. To have akhlaq. Someone might say, wait, why didn't Rasulullah say, I was sent so that people pray to God? I was sent so that people, for example, do this and that. Akhlaq defines everything in your faith. Because if you have real akhlaq, real manners, then you're going to have manners with God. And you're going to be praying to God. You're going to have manners with your parents. And you're going to take care of your parents. You're going to have akhlaq with your neighbors, with everyone around you. Because this is what religion is. Religion is a relationship between you and God. You have an obligation between you and God. And second, a relationship between you and society and people around you. And you need to have akhlaq. You need to have proper manners and etiquette to be able to carry out all of those responsibilities. And when we look at the prophets, we see that they were prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They spread the message of Islam in this way, through their manners, through their character. They didn't come and have these philosophical and ideological debates with people. Yes, in some cases, they did have them. But in most cases, they attracted people through their mercy, through their love, through their compassion. And this is something that we could all do. It's not too expensive to come and attract people through your love and through your character. You just have to be a good person. You just have to be a kind person. This is what the prophets teach us. Look at Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Prophet Ibrahim, he knows he has a mission. He knows he has a task. And that task is to spread Tawheed. That task is to spread the religion of monotheism. How is he going to do that? He asks for children. He asks for family. Because he knows he needs to have an army of prophets. And he becomes the father of the prophets. But he asks for something else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him Ismail and Hajar. And Allah tells him, go and leave them in Mecca. And Mecca at that time, no grass, no food, no water, nothing. He goes and he leaves Hajar and Ismail in that barren land. And he does a dua when he leaves. He says, رَبَّنَا إني أسكنت من ذريتي بواد غير ذي زرع عند بيتك المحرم ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة. This is the first objective. I brought my family, my progeny in Mecca, in your house. Why? So that they could uphold prayer. ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة. Then he asks Allah for several things. And then he says, ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة فاجعل أفئدة من الناس تهوي إليهم. I want the hearts of the people to be attracted to my children. I want the hearts of the people to be gravitated to my progeny. And then he says, وَارْزُقْهُم مِّنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ. Then he says, let them also have food. The first dua, the priority is I want my children, the prophets, to gravitate others with their akhlaq and with their manners. Why? Because Ibrahim knows if you want to deliver tawheed, if you want to deliver monotheism to the world, you need to do it with manners. You need to do it with etiquette. You need to be polite. You need to have the mercy and the rahmah. You need to attract people. You need to be able to win the hearts and the minds of people. Because once you win the hearts and the minds of people, then they will listen to you. Then they will follow you. And this is the key. This is the key. You come and you see all of the prophets. All of the prophets, they were chosen because of their mercy, because of their humility before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of their character, who they were. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Allah tells him, "O Musa, do you know why I chose you?" There were over 700,000 from Bani Israel. Many of them were scholars, many of them were worshippers. Probably some used to worship more than Musa. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, "Oh Musa, do you know why I chose you specifically?" Musa tells him why. He says for two reasons. One, when you pray, when you do sujood, you place your forehead and your face and your cheeks, you place it on the soil. And this is a sign of humility before Allah. And this makes you worthy of being a messenger of the faith. This makes you be someone who is worthy to deliver this heavy message. You need to be humble. An arrogant person, people are not going to be attracted to an arrogant person. People are not going to be, they're not going to want to listen to someone who looks down upon people. You need to level yourself with the people. And this is why every day we come and we put our forehead on the ground. This is why we do sujood every day on earth, to remind ourselves that, who am I? Maybe I have the money, maybe I have the resources, but at the end of the day, I go back to this earth. مِنْهَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ وَفِيهَا نُعِيدُكُمْ وَمِنْهَا نُخْرِجُكُمْ تَارَةً أُخْرَى. From this earth we created you, and from it we shall return you, and from it we shall, and to it we shall return you, and from it we shall resurrect you. When I do sujood, this is the philosophy of doing two sajdas in every rak'ah. One sajda reminds you that you were created from the soil, and the second sajda reminds you that you are going to go back to the soil. So Musa alayhi salam was very humble. He had humility before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that was one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected him out of everyone else, because he had that mercy. He did not look down upon people. He had that humility. Allah talks about the ibad. وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. The real abd of God is the one that walks with humility. The one that does not look down upon people. And Musa was selected because he had humility. He was the most humble person of Bani Israel. One day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, "Oh Musa, I want you to find someone that you are better than this person." He's a prophet of God. Allah tells him, "Oh Musa, find me someone that you are better than this person." Musa alayhi salam, he goes, he looks around. He looks at some people, but then he says, maybe they're better than me. I don't know. I don't know who's better. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only judge. And then he leaves the humans. He starts looking at a dog that has its tail cut off. He says, maybe I'm better than this dog. And then he says, no, who knows? He goes back to Allah. He says, Ilahi, you asked me to find something. You asked me to come back with an answer. But I'm sorry, I don't know anyone that I'm confident that I'm better than this person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, "O Musa, if you had come back with a name, you would have lost your prophethood." If you had come back saying, I'm better than one person, even an animal, you would have lost your prophethood. This is one reason. And the second reason, Allah tells him, and there's a hadith that says that one day, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, 10 years he used to be a shepherd. He used to work for Shu'aib. He used to herd the sheep of Shu'aib. So one day, Prophet Musa, and this is before his prophethood, he is herding the sheep, and one small sheep, it runs away. It leaves the flock and it runs away. And Musa alayhi salam, he starts chasing it. And this sheep, it goes up the hill, and Musa goes up the hill. It goes down the valley, and he goes down the valley. And it comes up the hill again. And the sheep is exhausted, and Musa is exhausted. And he's running hours and hours. The whole day he spent it running after this sheep. Now, if it was any of us, we would get really angry. We would probably say, to heck with this sheep. Let the wolves eat it. But Musa alayhi salam, he was able to finally catch the sheep. It was laying down. It was sitting. He goes and he catches it. When he catches it, Musa alayhi salam, he starts gently wiping the head of the sheep, and he starts speaking to it. He starts telling it, I'm not your enemy. I'm protecting you from the wolves. And he starts talking to it in a very gentle way, showing love and compassion. The same way some people, they, show gentle love and compassion to their puppies. So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the angels, "Oh angels, look at Musa. Look at the compassion he has and the mercy he has even with the animal. He has so much mercy with this animal where he's so compassionate, he's so merciful. This person is worthy of delivering the message. This person is worthy of being a prophet of Allah." This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected Prophet Musa alayhi salam. And this is why Allah selected Rasulullah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi was selected because he was a mercy to mankind. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. So my dear brothers and sisters, we have to show people the reality of Islam through our action. It doesn't take much. You don't need to have the money, you don't need to have power to show people the beauty of Islam. كُونُوا دُعَاةً لَنَا بِغَيْرِ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ. Invite people to us without using your tongues, through your actions. And this is something that every single person can do. And this is how Rasulullah was so successful, because he showed people the reality and the essence of Islam. One day, in one of the battles that the Prophet was in, غزوة ذات الرقاع, by the name of غزوة ذات الرقاع, this is mentioned by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in Al-Kafi. He says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa was with his companions, and the Prophet was in a valley, and suddenly there was a flash flood. In Arabia there are flash floods. Within seconds, you see it rains and the water rises, and Rasulullah was on one side, and all of the Muslims, they were on the other side of the valley. The enemies, they saw Rasulullah was alone, and there was water in between the Prophet and the Muslims. The enemy, one of them, he saw that the Prophet was alone. He goes from behind Rasulullah carrying a sword, and he tells Rasulullah, "Ya Muhammad, who's going to save you from me now?" He has his sword. He tells him, "Who's going to save you from me now?" Rasulullah right away, without hesitation, he says, "Allah." As soon as Rasulullah says Allah, the man falls off his horse. Imam Sadiq says, Jibreel gave him a push. He fell off his horse. Rasulullah picks up the sword and he tells him, who's going to save you from me now? Then the man, he says, Juduka wa karamuk, your generosity and your grace, that's what's going to save me. Rasulullah tells him, go. He let the man go. Even though the man was definitely going to kill the Prophet. He had the chance. If he hadn't fallen off, he would have killed the Prophet. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa let goes of the man. The man goes back to his people. The people who are fighting the Prophet, he tells them, I came back from the most generous and honorable person. And they joined Islam. Look at the akhlaq of Rasulullah. He didn't need to come and deliver a sermon to the man. He just needed to show him the true manners of what it is to win the hearts of people. And if we are able to do that, then Islam will be very successful and very prosperous. But we just have to change our ways. Today, unfortunately, you see in many Muslim communities, there's no akhlaq, there's no ethics, there's no manners, there's cheating, there's abuse, there's neglect. How are we going to have that and call ourselves Muslims? Real Islam, what defines you as a real Muslim is your character, is your kindness and your compassion towards other people. And if we don't have that, yes, I might be praying, I might be fasting, I might be doing all of these things. These are necessary, you have to do them. But if I don't have the real essence and soul of what it is to be a Muslim, the akhlaq and the virtues and the manners, then I'm going to be very far from the essence of Islam, very far from the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. This is why the enemies of Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura, they prayed. Imam Hussein, he got up in the morning, he prayed Fajr, Dhuhr, he prayed Dhuhr, they prayed Fajr and they prayed Dhuhr. Probably some of them used to read the Quran, probably some of them used to fast. However, they didn't have the akhlaq, they missed the plot. They missed the whole essence of Islam, they missed it. And that is the character of Rasulullah and the love of the Ahlul Bayt and the obedience to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. This is why the Quran constantly reminds us to associate ourselves and attach ourselves with the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Why? Because we learn valuable life lessons from the Ahlul Bayt. We learn valuable life lessons from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. This is why the Quran says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ Uswatun hasana. And Rasulullah, you have the best role model. And we see that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he was the one who followed in the way of Rasulullah. In his akhlaq and in his manners and in his ways. And throughout the whole story of Ashura, from the beginning all the way until the day of Ashura, you see that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, every opportunity he had, he reflected the teachings of Islam and the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. He was a manifestation of the real Muslim, the one that follows in the way of Rasulullah and follows in the Quran. This is why Imam Hussein alayhi salam, there are many things that he did on the day of Ashura that show us that Imam Hussein alayhi salam is indeed the one who is aligned with the Quran and aligned with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, on his way to Kufa, when he was intercepted by the army, they were only 1,000 at that time. He was intercepted by the army of Al-Hur. Imam Hussein alayhi salam had a lot of water with him. He had just left one stop, and Imam Hussein ordered his companions, carry the water. He had a lot of water, carrying it with him. The army of Hur, they didn't have water. They were very thirsty. So when they met one another, they were very thirsty. They were very exhausted. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he gave from his own water to the enemies. He tells his companions, give them the water. And not only give them the water, give their horses the water. Even their horses, quench the thirst of the horses. They say that one man from the enemies, he was so thirsty, when he saw the water, he didn't know what to do. He was running, he didn't know how to drink the water. Imam Hussein comes down and he brings the container of the water and he places it next to his mouth and he begins to quench the thirst of that man. Days later, that very same army blocked the water from the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The same way Muawiyah blocked the water from the camp of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Siffin. Amir al-Mu'mineen got the water, then he allowed them to drink. He allowed both armies to drink the water. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam gave them the water. Days later, they blocked the Furat, this river that has been flowing for thousands and millions of years. They blocked it from the son of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, where Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and it's very shameful for someone to come and block the water from it. And even according to the Arabs in pre-Islamic times, to not give someone water, that was a very shameful act, where they forced Imam al-Hussein to ask them for water. He stands in front of them and he tells them, يا قوم اسقوني شربة من الماء وحق جدي أنا عطشان. O people, give me a drop of water. By the life of my grandfather, I'm thirsty. They forced Imam al-Hussein, the son of Rasulullah, to come and beg and tell them, I'm thirsty. This is how they treated Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, we mentioned yesterday, he was in Medina and they were forcing him to give bay'ah and give allegiance. He tells them no, and Imam al-Hussein goes all the way to Mecca. Everyone is getting ready to perform the Hajj. Imam al-Hussein goes to Mecca, and there news comes to him that Yazid has sent assassins. He sent men who are armed, that they are going to kill Imam al-Hussein even if he's holding on to the Kaaba in the sacred land, the sacred Kaaba, the sacred house of Allah, that everyone should feel a sense of sanctuary and safety and security. Imam al-Hussein was not given safety. So Imam al-Hussein realized that in order to protect the sanctity of Baytullah, Imam al-Hussein, he decided to leave. And the people of Kufa, they had sent him thousands of letters, so he decided to head towards Iraq, towards Kufa. But before leaving, Imam al-Hussein, he stood in Mecca and he declared his movement publicly. أيها الناس خط الموت على ولد آدم مخط القلادة على جيد الفتاة وما أولهني إلى أسلافي اشتياق يعقوب إلى يوسف وخير لي مصرع أنا لاقيه كأني بأوصالي تقطعها عسلان الفلوات بين النواويس وكربلا. Imam al-Hussein was not misleading people. He told them, you will join me, we will attain the greatest victory, the greatest honor. We will attain the fath, the greatest victory, but we will all be killed. And he even tells them exactly where. بين النواويس وكربلا. Some people thought they were going to join Imam al-Hussein for worldly victory. Imam al-Hussein tells them, no. You must be fooling yourself if you think this is going to be worldly power. I'm being straightforward with you. I'm telling you to join me, but we will attain the greatest victory, a victory that will be talked about for thousands of years, but we will all be killed. Whoever wants to join me, joins me. Many people joined, and many people, once they saw that Imam al-Hussein was losing men, they backed out. They left Imam al-Hussein. This is why on the day of Ashura, Imam al-Hussein and his camp and all of them, they were less than 150, 200 people. That's it. Many of those people, and initially many people had left with him, but they left him once they saw that Imam al-Hussein is going towards certain death. When he left, his brother Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya comes to him and he tells him, oh my dear brother, you're older than me. You're in a position to give me advice. But my dear brother, I'm telling you, don't go to Kufa, you're going to be killed. This is what Rasulullah talked about. Didn't you see what they did to your father, what they did to your brother? Don't go. Why are you going? He tells him, oh my dear brother, Sha Allah an yarani qatila. Allah has destined that I become a martyr. He tells him, then why are you taking the women and the children with you? He tells him, Sha Allah an yarahunna sabaya. Yes, they will be prisoners of war. This is how the religion of Islam will be protected and saved. And Imam al-Hussein heads out and he is reciting the verses of the Quran, and he sleeps on his way, and he wakes up and he says, "Min hawan ad-dunya ala Allah." He says that this dunya has no value. Why? Because the head of Yahya, the son of Zakaria, was taken to a prostitute. This is proof that this dunya has no value. And they tell him, "Why are you saying this?" He tells them, "Because my head will also be delivered to Yazid ibn Muawiyah." Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, as he is moving and they're stopping, they stopped about 21 times until they reached Karbala on the 2nd of the month of Muharram. As they were traveling, there was a cameleer who was leading the caravan, and these cameleers, they would recite some words of poetry as they're moving. At-Tarimmah, he would call out, "Ya naqati la tad'ari min zajri wamshi bina qabla tulu' al-fajri بخير ركبان وخير سفري السادة البيض الوجوه الطهري يا مالك النفع معا والضر أيد حسينا سيدي بالنصر." As the caravan is moving, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, suddenly the horse that Imam al-Hussein was riding, it comes to a stop. Imam al-Hussein, he sees what is going on. He asks his companions, قال ما اسم هذه الأرض? What is the name of this land? One person tells him, "Ya Aba Abdullah, this is Al-Ghadiriyat." Another person tells them, "Alaha ismun akhar, does it have another name?" They tell him, "Shati al-Furat." Another person he asks another person, "What is the name?" He tells him, "Karbala." As soon as Imam al-Hussein hears the word Karbala, he says, "Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-karbi wal-bala." Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from trials and tribulations. انزلوا ها هنا محط رحالنا. Let us camp here. This is where we will camp. انزلوا ها هنا تقتل رجالنا. ها هنا تسبى نساؤنا. ها هنا تذبح أطفالنا. Let us camp here. This is where our men will be killed. This is where our children will be slaughtered. This is where our women will be taken captive. The family of Imam al-Hussein and the companions, they settled down in Karbala. They set the camp near the Euphrates, near the Furat, but they were blocked from camping near the Euphrates. Zainab at that time, she was still comfortable. She sees on one side is Imam al-Hussein, another side is Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, Ali al-Akbar. The men, they're all still with them. This was one day for Zainab, and there was another day for Zainab, and that was on the 11th of Muharram, when Zainab and the women of Imam al-Hussein were ordered to leave Karbala. Zainab, she goes to the body of Imam al-Hussein, the headless corpse of Imam al-Hussein. She sits at the body of Imam al-Hussein and she begins to speak to Rasulullah. "Oh my dear grandfather, this is your son Hussein. وجداه ومحمدا صلت عليك مليك السماء. هذا حسينك بالعراء مقطع الأعضاء وبناتك سبايا. وإلى الله المشتكى وإلى محمد المصطفى وإلى علي المرتضى. I don't have Imam al-Hussein. I don't have Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. I don't have anyone to defend me. I don't have anyone to be with me. One of the daughters of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, she goes to one of the men. She tells him, "Oh man, I have a question to ask you." He tells her, "What is it that you want to ask?" She tells him, "Tell me, which direction is Ghari?" Ghari is where Amir al-Mu'mineen is buried. He tells her, "Ghari is far. What do you want? Najaf, what do you want with Ghari?" She tells him, "We have a man, our grandfather, he used to take care of the orphans. I want to go to him and tell him that I'm an orphan now." لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب، ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. تابع اللهم بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات، إنك مجيب الدعوات، إنك غافر الخطيئات، إنك على كل شيء قدير. There are many who have asked for dua. Please pray for them. These are the nights to pray for the mu'mineen. Let us also send our salams to Imam al-Hussein. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bifina'ik wa anakhat birahlik. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات نهدي ثواب الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم في هذا المصاب. Just a reminder, we're going to have a latmiya and a noha in Urdu and in Arabic.
Hussein, Ya Hussein. This noha related to the pain, the love of Imam Hussein after 1400 years ago, whatever Karbala happened, but the love of Imam Hussein in our blood. So this noha talking about this. So please recite with me. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. हमसे गम शबीर भुलाया नहीं जाता, हमसे गम शबीर भुलाया नहीं जाता, हमसे गम शबीर भुलाया नहीं जाता. ये दाग कलेजे से, ये दाग कलेजे से मिटाया नहीं जाता, हमसे गम शबीर भुलाया नहीं जाता, हमसे गम शबीर भुलाया नहीं जाता. इतने तन शबीर पे है तीर नुमाया, اتنے تن شبیر پہ ہے تیر نمایا بچی کو بھی سینے سے لگایا نہیں جاتا بچی کو بھی سینے سے لگایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بھلایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بھلایا نہیں جاتا قاسم کی نا امید رکھو مادر قاسم قاسم کی نا امید رکھو مادر قاسم لاشے کی یہ حالت ہے کہ لایا نہیں جاتا لاشے کی یہ حالت ہے کہ لایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بھلایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بھلایا نہیں جاتا اٹھتے ہیں کبھی بیٹھتے ہیں مولا اکیلے اٹھتے ہیں کبھی بیٹھتے ہیں مولا اکیلے کیا لاشائے فرزند اٹھایا نہیں جاتا کیا لاشائے فرزند اٹھایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بھلایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بھلایا نہیں جاتا اے لاشائے اکبر پہ بھجی پیاس کی ہچکی اے لاشائے اکبر پہ بھجی پیاس کی ہچکی خط فاطمہ صغریٰ کا سنایا نہیں جاتا خط فاطمہ صغریٰ کا سنایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بلایا نہیں جاتا یہ داغ کلیجے کا یہ داغ کلیجے کا چھپایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بھلایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بھلایا نہیں جاتا اتنے تن شبیر پہ ہے تیر نمایا اتنے تن شبیر پہ ہے تیر نمایا بچی کو بھی سینے سے لگایا نہیں جاتا بچی کو بھی سینے سے لگایا نہیں جاتا ہم سے غم شبیر بھلایا نہیں جاتا حسین
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد بأعلى الأصوات صلوا على محمد وآل محمد سلام على أطيب الأطيبين وارث المرسلين الإمام الحسين. Everyone, سلام على أطيب الأطيبين وارث المرسلين سلام على أطيب الأطيبين وارث المرسلين الإمام الحسين. غريب بوادي الطفوف قتيل بظلم السيوف. خذوني إلى مرقد للحسين، خذوني إلى مرقد للحسين، خذوني إلى مرقد للذبيح، خذوني أضمد قلبا جريح. دعوني أناجي الشهيد الطريح، دعوني أقبل ذاك الضريح. خذوني إلى مرقد للذبيح، خذوني إلى مرقد للذبيح، خذوني أضمد قلبا جريح. دعوني أناجي الشهيد الطريح، دعوني أقبل ذاك الضريح. لأبكي عليه وأهدي إليه دموع الأمين، دموع الأمين. سلام على أطيب الأطيبين وارث الإمام. غريب بوادي الطفوف قتيل بظلم السيوف. خذوني إلى مرقد للحسين، خذوني إلى مرقد. أنا إن ذكرت الحسين الشهيد تفيض عيوني بالعبرات، وقلبي ينوح نواح الرثاء، وتبكي معي هذه الكلمات. أنا إن ذكرت الحسين الشهيد تفيض عيوني بالعبرات، وقلبي ينوح نواح الرثاء، وتبكي معي هذه الكلمات. يصيح الفؤاد يا ابن البتول ويا ابن خديجة والطاهرة. سلام على أطيب الأطيبين وارث غريب بوادي الطفوف قتيل بظلم السيوف. خذوني إلى مرقد للحسين، خذوني إلى مرقد. لأي الأمور بكت كالنخيل، وراح من الحزن يبكي الفؤاد. لأي الأمور بكت كالرمال، وهذا التلال وهذا الجواد. لأي الأمور بكت كالنخيل، وراح من الحزن يبكي الفؤاد. لأي الأمور بكت كالرمال، وهذا التلال وهذا الجواد. هل تعرفين بأن الحسين قتيل بلا ناصر أو معين؟ سلام على وارث المرسلين الإمام الحسين. غريب بوادي الطفوف قتيل بظلم السيوف خذوني إلى مرقد للحسين خذوني إلى كربلاء هل تذكرين الرضيع وهل تذكرين الفؤاد الفجيع كربلاء هل تذكرين اليتيم وهل تذكرين العليل الهضيم هل تذكرين الرضيع وهل تذكرين الفؤاد الفجيع هل تذكرين اليتيم وهل تذكرين العليل الهضيم وقتل الهواشم وسبي الفواطم آل الأمين سلام وارث المرسلين غريب بوادي الطفوف قتيل بظلم السيوف خذوني إلى مرقد للحسين خذوني إلى مرقد للحسين صلوا على محمد وآل محمد